Elon Musk sat down with CNBC's David Faber in, I want to characterize this as a softball interview, but the ball was regulation size. Like usually the softball interviews are like, I'm going to throw in like one of those beach balls to him. This was actually just a regular size softball. Elon Musk is in, I think he's probably got to be in a full on like panic. Like I think like from day to day that this guy sort of keeps it together, I think is impressive. I am the internal strife that must be going on with this guy. It must be just super dramatic. Because you can see how he's sort of rationalizing, and the guy's got so much money that he doesn't care. But on one level, on another level,
he wants approval. Yeah.
He wants approval desperately, because you don't like, why are you doing this? You know? And it's so interesting if you watch the whole interview to see how he's come to grips with like, I really messed up with Twitter. But he uses an example, and I don't think this is in the clip. In another clip, he talks about like, imagine if you've been teleported into a plane that's crashing, hurtling to the ground. That's what happened with me and Twitter. Except for in that scenario, someone else teleports you into the plane. In this scenario, you are like, I'm going to spend the amount of money that would basically wipe out homelessness in the United States to teleport into that plane that is going hurtling to the ground. And because he doesn't want to admit that he really has no idea what he's doing.
This was a test of his competence that he completely failed. Exactly.
But here he is being questioned as to like, why would advertisers, like, why are you tweeting like you're tweeting?
But I mean, when you link to somebody who's talking about the guy who killed children in a mall in Allen, Texas, and you say something like it might be a bad psyop. I'm not quite sure what you meant, but.
Oh, in that particular case, there was somehow that's not that that obviously people were killed, but it was, I think, incorrectly ascribed to be a white supremacist action, and the evidence for that was some obscure Russian website that no one's ever heard of, that had no followers, and the company that found this is Bellingcat.
Right.
And do you know what Bellingcat does? PsyOps.
Right. I couldn't really even follow exactly what it was you were trying to express there, so that's in part why I was curious.
I'm saying that I thought the ascribing it to white supremacy was bullshit.
Okay.
And that the information for that came from an obscure Russian website and was somehow magically found by Bellingcat, which is a company that does PsyOps.
And there's no proof, by the way, that he was not.
There's no. I would say that there's no proof that he is.
And that's a debate you want to get into on Twitter?
Okay, now put aside like this business guy sort of like crying about, you really want to like hurt your asset in this way? Bad? Doesn't that look bad for you? Instead of like getting to the heart of the matter of is like, wait a second. Who are you defending here? Let's just start with this. I mean, because there's a lot of things to talk about. And get that Elon tweet if you can find it that he tweeted. But the question would be like, wait, who are you defending here? Are you defending the shooter, or are you defending white supremacists? Now he would just say, I'm defending the truth. And the truth is that you know for a fact that this guy's not a white supremacist. Is that what we're to believe? Yeah. Let's be clear. The guy has tattoos of swastikas all over his body. And someone put up a tweet from Michael Tracy where he says, just because Manson didn't had a tattoo of a swastika carved into his forehead doesn't mean that he's a Nazi. Well, guess what? It turns out he was a huge follower of neo-Nazis. Every expert in the field of Dave Nyworth, I mean, all of the people who saw that tweet were like, I've got some bad news for you about what Manson was doing when he wasn't carving swastikas into his forehead. So there is at least evidence. Is there proof? And we do know that the cops ultimately said, these accounts match up. Do we have the tweet from Elon Musk? Do we have his tweet where he claims that that he was saying that Bellingcat is a psyop, not that the staging of the whole thing was a psyop. But I mean, put aside the idea that he is he's not really even fact checking, is he?
No, the Bellingcat thing. Bellingcat takes government money, and people should know that when taking conclusions from Bellingcat, for instance, the Western governments. But that, for instance, when Bellingcat did an investigation on the Shireen Abu Akleh thing and found out that probably Israelis killed her, that wasn't a psyop, right? That was probably
maybe it was.
Okay, but that's the thing.
They're a psyop.
These sorts of it's this sort of pseudo. It's like a Tucker Carlson type of I'm a populist working against these shadowy groups.
What is
the richest man on earth?
But let's also follow the logic of, and let's be clear, Musk was not saying that Bellingcat is a psyop. He wasn't saying that they run psyops. He was saying the whole thing was a psyop.
The actual shooting itself.
The actual whole thing was set up to make it look like white supremacists are the type of people who would shoot up people. He's defending white supremacists here, folks. But even if you don't think that that's the case, why would you say this is a psyop? What would be the agenda that the psyop is supposed to, if you're so sure it's a psyop, right? Remember now, because he's protecting the truth. Yeah. He's protecting the truth.
That white supremacy is an intelligence community lie to control us.
I mean, you really got to dig into what the motivation of that tweet was.
He's responding to this where it says it's a psyop.
Okay. It's a psyop, and it's not even good.
And then he goes.
This gets weirder by the moment. So I mean, look, he is, when she says it's a psyop, she's not responding to Bellingcat. Bellingcat's not even written in the thing. I mean, it may be the case that Bellingcat was involved in it, but he's not saying Bellingcat is a psyop. He's saying that this whole alleged shooter being a Nazi is a psyop. Someone's setting it up to make it look like the Nazis a psyop. Not this is misinformation or people jumping to conclusions. No, there is a concerted effort to make you believe that a white supremacist was this gunman. Put aside just sort of the obvious question of like, why would they just do one out of the 5 mass shootings we had last week? Like, what is it supposed to achieve? Put that one up. What is that?
This is the Tracy tweet.
Oh, yeah, this is yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, who cares about Michael Tracy? I mean, he's just writing stupid other stuff. It's possible that someone named Garcia was a white supremacist. You should meet Nick Fuentes.
Or the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio. You know?
I mean, it's just the incredible stupidity of Americans to not understand that, like, actual, like,
is it stupidity?
Well, I'm not saying of Tracy. I think Tracy exists to sort of bleach out that. But I think, like, Americans, like, they're like, how could a Mexican be white supremacist? Like, that's a settler colonial nation itself. They're just darker skinned than you are.
It's it is.
True.
It's impressive. But really, I wish that CNBC reporter would have like dug into that as opposed to just sort of like, why are you ruining your asset?
I know. I thought that Caitlin Collins' problem was she was too young. I guess this is just how they hire people.
Well, I mean, at CNBC, it's a business channel, and
right.
he's just like, why? Dude, it's such a sweet car. Why are you driving it on that bumpy road?
Why are you complicating things? Liberals like to buy your crap.
Here is Elon Musk now, and do you have the tear sheet from what happened on that day? Okay. Here's Elon Musk. David Faber asking him about his tweet comparing George Soros to an evil character in Magento in what the X-Men, right?
Magneto, yep.
Magneto.
Magento is a magenta colored.
And I wonder what makes Soros so evil.
But how do you make a choice? You don't see, I mean, in terms of when you're going to engage. I mean, for example, even today, Elon, you tweeted this thing about George Soros. Well, I'm looking for it because I want to make sure I quote it properly. But I mean, you know what you wrote. But you basically.
It reminds me of Magneto. This is like, calm down, people. This is not like made a pit case out of it.
You also you said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like when you do something like that.
Well, pause. Let's just be clear. It's one thing to say like you're like Thanos or you're like Magneto. It's another to say you hate humanity and you're going to try and destroy humanity. But it's like I was joking around with the Magneto thing, but I was serious about hating humanity. Go back.
Make a pit case out of it.
You also you said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like when you do something like that, do you
I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially because, I mean, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree with you?
Pause it. See, I mean, like the angle of which this guy's like, it's hurting your business.
Exactly.
What about, wait, can we examine the basis of this? Because George Soros just happens to be a lightning rod for anti-Semitism. Can we examine the basis of this? Why is this your opinion?
Now, why express it now?
But why are you taking Dad's car? Why? Dude, it's going to ruin your shocks. You're going to ruin the paint job. All right, keep playing.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially because, I mean, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree with you? Advertisers on Twitter may not agree with you. Why not just say, hey, I think this. You can tell me. We can talk about it over there. You can tell your friends. But why share it widely?
I mean, this is freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say what I want.
You absolutely are, but I'm trying to understand why you do, because you have to know it's got it puts you in the middle of the partisan divide in the country. It makes you a lightning rod for criticism. I mean, do you like that?
Like, why is this reporter talking to him like he's 10? It's literally like you said, like, hey, why did you stand up at the dinner table, bend over and fart in front of everybody? Freedom of speech. No, I understand that you are free to do that. But why did you think that was a good idea? Like, what motivated you to do that? This guy's talking to him like he's 10. He doesn't realize that Musk is trying to be evasive. Why? Like, instead of even asking, like, why would you do that when you know that some people may have sensitivities? Why don't you ask, like, what is the basis of your opinion?
Right. Yes. What's the warrant for the claim that you're making?
Exactly.
Do, because you have to know it's got it puts you in the middle of the partisan divide in the country. It makes you a lightning rod for criticism. I mean, do you like that? People today saying he's an anti-Semite. I don't think you are.
No, I'm definitely. I'm like a pro-Semite, if anything.
I believe that probably is the case.
Yes.
But why would you even introduce the idea then that would be the case?
I mean, look, we don't want to make this a George Soros interview.
No, God, no. I don't want to at all. But what I'm trying, even came up though in the annual meeting. I mean, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. Or, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride.
Oh my God.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Great kids.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, Offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay.
Now, when you're CEO of a publicly traded company, you have a fiduciary responsibility to maximize your shareholders' profits. Now, I totally have an appreciation for him not doing that. I think we should see more of that, actually.
Wipe out those investors, buddy.
But speaking of investors, and it turns out Magneto it was also Jewish. Apparently, he was also a Holocaust
Son of
survivor.
Holocaust survivors, yeah.
I'm sure that was a coincidence. It's so hard to find names of villains these days to say who genuinely hate humanity. But will you pop up I believe, a headline from that very day that he did this tweet, actually. I think billionaire investor George Soros fund dumped its entire Tesla stake in the first quarter, cashing out the EVs maker's 2023 rebound.
Oh, cash out on that rebound that we've been hearing about.
Oh, interesting. In other words, doesn't think there's much of a future. Now, Soros is only like a fraction of the billions that Elon Musk has. If it was up to me, I wouldn't throw both of them in jail. I would make it civilly illegal for them to have that kind of money if they're American citizens. I would tax them to the extent that they would not be able to accumulate that kind of money. But I wonder why that didn't come up. And maybe it was because Elon said, like, this is not a George Soros interview. Right. In other words, don't say the thing about him selling all his stock, because that makes Tesla look bad. Even though, pay me money, I don't care. Right? Like, what's he doing on, like, why is he on CNBC? Like,
dump your whole investment in the first quarter, cashing out on our rebound, I don't care.
He is so absurd. It's fascinating. The idea is like, I don't care. I don't care about what I tweet in terms of, okay, well then how about reporter questioning him on the basis of his tweets? Since he owns Twitter, which 6 months ago we were calling the public square. Remember when we did that? Remember all the stuff of what that was released in the Twitter files because this is the public square? Well, what about the public square now being dominated by a guy who is literally changing the algorithm so that he gets to dominate the public square because he has billions of dollars? Like, I don't know how much, like, you need the metaphor to get more explicit. Right? Like, how much more explicit can the metaphor get that the billionaire... And it's certainly within his right, but wasn't the whole point of the Twitter files to suggest that this is the public square? This is a valuable public institution that is so sacred.
Things are different now.
I mean, it is like the contradictions associated with this are just so massive. And the failure of the press to report on now the public square is being dominated by this huge bigot. He's a bigot. He's a huge bigot. Defending white supremacists from charges that he thinks are psyops, that they kill people.
I mean, he's from a family who got passive income under apartheid South Africa and didn't have any public statements about that until later, much later in life. So yeah, I wonder how he looks at wokeness. I wonder how he historicizes that.